Hello. So in this video we're going to continue to talk about the 2013 long response question. Remember, this is the exam I've released to the students for this year. And like we said, because this question involves the continual inputs of inputting of values, and I don't know how many I need to input, a conditional loop is best. But because the question has to be asked at least once, a do-while is better than a while loop. But of course, a student might try and write this with a while loop. So let's take a look at a possible solution. So it's very similar. In fact, it's almost identical with a couple minor variations. So remember, the difference between a do-while and a while loop is that a do-while loop always executes the loop code once, whereas a while loop might skip the loop code altogether. So we actually put the condition at the top for a while loop here. So it's going to check the condition. If this fails, it skips right to the bottom. If it passes, it goes in. So the one added thing we have to really be aware of if we use a while loop instead of a do-while in this case is the initialization. So in our do-while example, it didn't matter what again was initialized to, but because in this case I have to enter this while loop the first time, I must initialize it to y. Likewise, I have a second while loop that deals with taking the inputs of the number. Because the condition gets checked before I start, I have to actually initialize num to something greater than 0. As long as it's greater than 0, this will work. So that is kind of the added consideration if you program this using a while loop. The last thing that is different is at the very bottom here, whereas with the do-while solution we only had to reinitialize the sum, we also have to reinitialize num to a value greater than 0. Because if, as I walk through this program, when I enter this second while loop, num, when I'm done, will be a negative value. If num gets set to a negative value and this program continues on, and then I want to play again, it comes back up to the top here, and I'm going to skip that loop. So I have to reinitialize num as well. Okay. So a while loop isn't incorrect in this case, but it is less efficient as far as an approach. I would not use a for loop for this one. So a student has asked me for an example of how I might use a for loop to input a set number of values and find their sum, and I'm going to do that in our next video.